This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 1759, Previews!
You got it on Wednesday, and you was psyched about it, going to the volume up. These guys will talk about it, everything that geeks love. From capes to laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read. And comics, movies, games, toys, artists, come! Comic Geek Speak, comic Geek Speak, comic Geek Speak, comic Geek Speak, comic Geek. Uniting the world's mightiest heroes, this is...
I'm Shane Kelly.
I'm Adam Murdo.
I'm Ian Levinstein.
And I'm Chris Eberly.
Comic Geek Speak!
Ooh, doing it the way.
Yep, that was the extended
I was holding the high note,
AM
man.
version there.
Love it, love it, love it.
Brethren, it's an honor to be here with all of you once again.
And we with you, Chris, and we with you.
Comic Geek Speak!
Yep, this is our annual annual, yeah.
Annual.
Yeah,
Annual, monthly,
not quite.
once a time.
Once a year.
Yes, once per moon. Previews catalog review episode. We're going to be talking about Previews catalog number 376, the January catalog for releases mostly finding their way to stores in the merry month of March. And so we're ready and raring to go to tell all you folks out there what's coming up a couple of months from now and what we're most excited to buy and what maybe you would find interesting. Let's just point out everything in the book that we think that you, the listeners, might find of interest, even if we ourselves aren't necessarily going to buy it. And that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Well put, Mert. Well put.
A little bit of business here pertaining to the show here before we get down to the actual...
Get down.
Yes.
Get down.
Previews boogie. Dun, 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 brup, brup. Nope. It's... this is an annual occurrence. I'm about to inform everyone about. Yes, it's by the actual definition of the word annual, as in once per year, not once per month. But yes, it is time once again for the award season is upon us, and we at the Comic Geek Speak podcast like to catch it every time we can. So we're going to continue our annual tradition of doing a best of awards show. We're going to do our best of 2019 awards, and as always, podcast listener participation is a part of this observance. So all of you out there in CGS listener land will get to have your say in the CGS Best of 2019 awards. Now, the awards are awarded here on CGS in 16 categories traditionally, and I'm going to give you your first and only on-air reading of all 16 categories right here and now. Subsequently, they will be posted to the CGS forums and probably to Facebook, so you can see them for yourselves. And here are the 16 categories in which awards will be given. Best New Hero or Hero Team to debut in comics in 2019. Best New Villain or Villain Team to debut during that year. Best New Comic, this would be an ongoing series, the first issue of which shipped during calendar year 2019. Best Limited Series, the final issue of which will have shipped in 2019. Best single issue of an ongoing series or miniseries or one-shot. Best cliffhanger or moment. Best storyline. This is either an arc within a single series or a crossover between two or more series. Best sleeper or surprise hit. Best ongoing comic. Now, this is different from Best New Comic in that it does not need to have begun in 2019. It could be an ongoing comic that began earlier. Best graphic album. This is an original graphic novel or a trade paperback or hardcover collection. Best writer. Best artist. Best writer/artist. That's one person who performs both functions in the creation of a comic. Best colorist. Best letterer. And breakthrough talent of 2019. A creator whose first work may not necessarily have appeared during the year 2019, but who at the very least would have broken through to a new level of notability or notoriety during that year. Someone who really came into his or her own as a creator during that year, in your opinion. So there's a bit of flexibility and a bit of arbitrariness as far as what makes a breakthrough talent. Certain persons have been nominated for this honor a few years in a row here on the show. So just vote your heart.
By now, Tom King has broken through people. We know.
He has no more room in his house for breakthrough talent awards. Okay, so if you want to participate, here are your 16 categories. You may submit your ballot. In fact, you must submit your ballot this way. It's the only way. Via email to the address bestof, B-E-S-T-O-F, at comicgeekspeak.com. Get that in here to us by 11:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, February 9th, 2020. Okay, that's from the time this episode will be released. That'll give you a little over 3 weeks. I think that's a fair amount of time. Please nominate no more than one person or thing for each of the 16 categories. And please do not make nominations in any fewer than 8. That's half of them. We don't expect you to nominate someone or something in each and every single category. That's a little difficult. But please do nominate something for at least 8 of those categories. If you nominate fewer than 8, well, if you leave more than 8 categories blank in your ballot, it will not be counted. Okay, so get those ballots into us by midnight on February 9th, 2020, and then we will tally them all up. And those nominees in each category that get the most nominations from the listeners will become the official listener nominee and find its way onto the final ballot to determine who or what in each category will end up winning the Best of 2019 award for that category. And those will be announced probably sometime around the beginning of March. Okay, but the first step is, of course, to collect listener nominations. We, the Geeks, will also be hard at work filling out our own ballots as best we can. I'm going to be on my hands and knees in my apartment digging through a whole year's worth of comics that I haven't read yet, trying to figure out what I thought was the best based on just cursory readings. That's my annual ritual, and I'm sure the rest of you guys are psyched to participate as well.
Yes, indeed.
I have to.
I really appreciate that you do this every year. It's such a good time.
And I have to dig out my past years as well and go through some stuff that I haven't gotten to yet.
Now, Mert, I have a question because I'm fascinated by the labyrinthine aspects of your apartment when it comes to your comic storage. So do you have a particular area where the books from 2019 are set aside?
Well, it's not an assigned area necessarily. It's called the part of my apartment where I happen to dump all the comics that I bought this year. It's more like 2 or 3 different parts of my apartment where those comics have been strewn. So I'll just have to I'll gather them together. I'll figure it out. I always do.
Indeed.
Comic book dump pile is a lot less of an appealing name than a time bubble.
It sounds like a URL, actually, for like an online retailer. Comicbookdumppile.com.
Yeah, we should get on that.
Yep, somebody reserve that right now. GoDaddy. Yeah, but I agree. Time Bubble's got a bit more class.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll stick with that. But anyway, there you go, folks. CGS faithful, you have your walking orders. Do your patriotic duty and participate in the CGS Best of 2019 awards coming soon.
Right on.
Excellente.
All right, and now let us turn together, friends, neighbors, and brethren, as we address the real labor of this episode, which is going through the January previews catalog and shouting out all those worthy things we find therein.
I'm going to tell you is one thing that I did this past weekend that I never happens to me. I went to Walmart, which I hardly ever go to anymore, partially because there's none really close to my little 1 mile radius of life anymore. But when I went, I'm looking around for stuff on the top shelf. Not out yet, but still up in reaching distance, was a brand new box of Lego DC minifigures that are just coming out. I pulled the box down. I spent an hour feeling blind packages, and I got all 16 of those little buggers. One shot, done.
Oh, you
that was awesome.
Wandered into a moral gray area there, Shane. But you know what?
Shane, you polished off the old thieving skills when it comes to that.
No. I just felt the packages and picked out all 16.
So this reminds you of the great yarn you tell when you were a kid when you were switching price tags.
Well, yeah, but I didn't take these.
You're facilitating the consumer experience for yourself.
I just pulled them off the top of the shelf and found the 16 that I wanted and went and paid for them.
I think you're contributing to the corruption of a CGS listenership.
I'm imagining in my head, Shane, you sitting Indian style on the floor of the Walmart, and people, coming up and trying to rummage next to you, and you're just like, yeah, get out of here, I'm busy.
Fine. I have been known to sit on the floor at times to do that. That did not happen in this case, but I have done that in days gone by. My big push to get them from Walmart was because with this series and going forward, minifigures are now $4.99 a piece, which is a lot. But for whatever reason, Walmart had them for $3.44. So that's my big. I was there like 4 times last week looking. Nothing. Saturday morning, bright and early, there they were. So yeah, my big push was because cost effectiveness. $3.44 was a lot easier to swallow.
Sure. Carpe diem.
Yeah, but they're gorgeous. Really neat. Some neat stuff. Stargirl, Jake Eric Flash, Mr. Miracle with a chain that you can wrap around him and handcuffs. So that's how I have him right now. Is like the cover of his #1 issue. But yeah, some really neat ones out this time.
I can picture it now.
Yeah, it's cool.
And Stargirl, we'll be talking more about on next Comic Talk, as the second trailer for her upcoming series just came out.
Yep. Can't wait for that either.
All right.
Pretty soon, everybody's going to know her name.
That's right. All right, previews.
Previews.
right.
Previews.
Image, page 50.
Oh, hold on a moment there, Chris.
Oh, my apologies, sir.
Yep, this is that very special issue of the Previews catalog that comes but once a year when we first get to talk about the annual Free Comic Book Day offerings.
Oh, you're correct. My apologies.
All right, so let's take a look here at page 29, which is where those listings begin.
Okay. Yep, I'm scrolling back up. Let's see.
Tired of DC and Marvel being secret. Just show us what's in it.
I agree with that, actually. Yeah, it's and most of the time it's not even secret for a good reason.
No,
like
no,
I feel like half the time they just haven't decided on what they're doing yet.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, at least with Marvel, they're telling you, one is X-Men and one is Spider-Man /Venom. This is the thing that we're going to be advertising with this free comic. But DC doesn't even have that much
Top secret
to show us. It's just, it's too big to announce.
It's not Val Kilmer in a movie, a sequel comic for Top Secret, nothing like that. It's just Top Secret.
DC has a lot of plates spinning at the exact same time right now, and I don't even know where their universe is going, so they might not even know themselves in time to put this out.
I find that entirely credible, Ian.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm interested in, and I need to sit down and just read a whole bunch of them, because I've been getting more and more into the Power Rangers universe again, playing the video game that I've been playing, the fighting game that came out last year. But Boom's putting out a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Ranger Slayer #1 free comic book day issue. And that's an alternate version of the Pink Ranger from an alternate universe ruled by an evil Tommy the Green Ranger. So anybody who's been following any of the Power Rangers books over the past couple of months and years, for that matter, would be interested in picking that one up for Boom.
What matters for me is on page 31, Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics by Tom Scioli, forgive me if I mispronounced that. Something like this is why I'm glad they're taking, the free comic book day format, which, speaking of as a former retailer, on occasion would bring comics to people who didn't normally read them. This is wonderful. They're giving Jack Kirby a tribute to him and his life in this format. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah, and brought to us by a creator who is kind of an unabashed Kirby disciple. It says here in the copy that Scioli's work has greatly influenced by Jack Kirby, and he's the one who did the Myth of Oedipus and also that GoBots series that came out through IDW a little while ago.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so he is a big Kirby fan, so he's a perfect candidate to bring this to us.
Yep.
GoBots. Wow. Remember them, Shane?
The GoBots.
He's sitting here singing the theme song, so yes, I think he does.
Back to page 30, by the way. New series premiering with their free comic book day issue by writer Robert Kirkman and artist Chris Samnee.
Oh, Samnee.
You have me sold right there. It's about the one who wields the firepower is destined to save the world, but Owen Johnson has turned his back on that life. He doesn't want the power. He never did. He only wants to raise his family and his life, but his unseen forces are at work to make that impossible. So kind of sounds almost like a little bit of a take on Iron Fist, perhaps. Kirkman's take on that, maybe. So really, really, really intrigued to see where this is going.
Well, I'm definitely going to try that as well, Ian.
Yep.
Page 32, a new JMS book, which is also featured in the main previews. The Resistance, art by Mike Diodato.
Yep. This is Deodato's first work since his split with Marvel. JMS and Deodato, it's good creators right there. So I'd like to see where this one goes.
If you'll indulge me for a moment, gentlemen. Bottom
Always.
of page 30. IDW is apparently planning to do something with My Little Pony Friendship is Magic for their free comic book day offering. They're taking a cue from Dark Horse when they did an additional season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in comic book form. They're doing that with My Little Pony, because My Little Pony just ended this past year with season 9. And so IDW is going to be bringing us their take on a season 10 of that series, and it's beginning with their FCBD issue. So I'll be checking that out, I think.
9 seasons. Wow.
That's unusual for a licensed
cartoon,
toy-based
yeah.
animated
Yeah, it
series.
sure is.
But it was a quality product.
Page
How many
30
seasons did the original Transformers go? Any idea?
Oh, 2, maybe 3. It's not many.
Yeah, none of those shows. G.I. Joe wasn't that long either. That was only a couple seasons too.
Yeah, that was less than I thought it was. And sometimes, depending on where I'm looking, they count all the 5-part mini series of G.I. Joe cartoons that came out before the regular cartoon as one season, which does kind of make sense. It's 15, almost 20 episodes, I think. So that it's not bad for a season, but yeah, I'm going to try and see.
We're looking that up on page. I'm looking at page 35 from Humanoids. Mark Waid writing "Enter the Inkle," which I'm not very familiar with this character beyond just I know that it exists and that Mobius is involved. But the first original story in more than a decade. The spring tale by superstars Mark Waid and Stefane Roux. Forgive me, I'm butchering that name. So anything Waid does, I'm rarely, if ever, disappointed.
And I've got one on 34. It's a collection of manhwa, which is contemporary Korean comics. It's a genre that I haven't really gotten into myself, but it's been getting more and more attention of late here in the States. Essentially, what Japan has manga, Korea has manhwa, and this is going to have samples from some of the biggest manhwa series all collected into one free edition.
So, Transformers is listed in IMDb as 4 seasons. 1 and 2 are normal. Then Transformers the movie came out. 3 is all set in the future after Transformers the movie. And then 4 is only listed as 3 episodes. The Rebirth Part 1, 2, and 3. So it's really 3 seasons. It's really what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Anything else from FCBD anybody wants to shout out?
Mean Girls senior year for a movie that's one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies, and I went to see the Broadway play version of it.
Nice.
To have a comic book continuation of Mean Girls actually makes me pretty happy. And this is out of Insight Comics with Ariana Irwin on writing and Alba Cardona on the art. So if they can continue the quality of the movie, it'll make me happy.
Ian, I must say, as always, I'm impressed by sort of the breathtaking pace of your social life.
Are you saying that my social life is very fetch?
Oh my
I don't
God.
even know what fetch means.
That's not gonna catch on. Stop saying that.
All right, sorry.
I love
What
that.
the hell is fetch?
It's
a word from Mean Girls.
Yeah, that one of the girls is
I've
trying
only
to...
seen Mean Girls once, and Ian, I have to admit, I was completely underwhelmed by it.
Oh,
So you can definitely stop making fetch happen. I understand.
yeah.
Okay. No, but I applaud you, sir. You get out there, you see a lot of shows, you really enjoy your city.
I do my best.
Yeah.
Page 35, I'm happy to see Owly still makes an appearance on Free Comic Book Day and in regular books. I always enjoyed that when the kids were younger, and glad to see it's still around.
Yeah, Shane, they're actually re-releasing it in color with words
Oh, cool.
for the first time. They announced that at the Scholastic panel. I was at New York Comic Con.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
See, we've got on page 36, Usagi Yojimbo meets Chibi Usagi Yojimbo from IDW, the new home of Usagi Yojimbo. And there is an Invincible thing down below, although I'm guessing this is going to be... Oh, it says reprint material right there, so
Oh,
nothing we
yeah.
haven't seen before.
Nope. Yeah, that's that's very much done for now until Kirkman gets bored and goes back to the universe.
I didn't realize they were doing an animated series on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, they sure are. I cannot wait for that. It's executive produced by Seth Rogen and his fellows. But that's going to be huge, and I cannot wait.
All right. When is that supposed to drop?
Later this year, I believe.
Okay. What else, gentlemen?
On page 38, we've got Best of 2000 AD number 0. Brand new U.S.-sized monthly designed for new readers. The essential gateway to the galaxy's greatest comic. Everything.
Al
comes back
Ewing,
to
one of the writers. Wow.
And Erica Henderson, artist of Unbeatable Squirrel Girl.
That's cool.
All right.
And I'll go to page 40 real quick and just mention the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, Defend Comics 2020, as that always tends to have some good compilation material there, whether it be new stories or otherwise. Most of the time, new stuff. But it's usually one of the better free comic book things to pick up if you want a bunch of different creators in one package.
All right. Ready for image, gentlemen?
Yeah.
I am. And
I like on this page 50, Decorum, there are many assassins in the known universe. This is the story of the most well-mannered one. Now, I just recently watched John Wick 1 and 2. They're they're also pretty well-mannered for assassins.
Well, they have a code they follow, a protocol,
yeah.
the hotel, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. I was impressed. I liked it.
Shane, 3 just got added to HBO. Watch it the minute that you can, because it is so good.
I have
It's so
3. I hardly go to Best Buy, but they had them Black Friday. We went out and I saw them. They were like, 1 was $3, 2 was $4, and 3 was $5 or something like that. So I snatched them all up and downloaded the digital codes. So I just have to sit down to watch 3.
Nice. Yeah.
There's 3 is a hoot and a half.
Oh, my God. One of the best knife fights I've ever seen in the movie. and he fights on a horse. That's all you need to know.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the horse scene is especially fantastic. What I like about this ad is that for Decorum, first of all, the art is absolutely breathtaking. You don't really know what's going on here. It's it really makes you want to read it even more. First of all, it's Jonathan Hickman, and that's enough. But I love the sort of enigmatic copy for it. Plus, you've got apparently some kind of robot in 16th century conquistador armor. So
Yeah.
It's a conquistador robot.
I'm definitely going to try this. All right.
Got a new superhero franchise on page 58. Stealth number 1. Writer Mike Costa and art by Nate Bellagarde and Tamra Bonvillain. I'm not sure if that's really her last name, but if it is, that is the most amazing last name ever, because she's literally a Bond villain. For decades, Stealth has waged war on crime in Detroit, but now he's taken his pursuit of justice too far. Only reporter Tony Barber knows that behind Stealth's reckless behavior is an older man battling Alzheimer's, his father. A father unwilling to accept that he's no longer the hero the city needs, with enemies all too eager to force his retirement. This was created by Robert Kirkman and Mark Silvestri, but it's being written by Mike Costa. The premise sounds fantastic.
It does.
Yeah, sure does. And Alzheimer's is such a terrible disease that's so increasingly common in our country.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how they approach it in this story. See, whenever I think of Detroit, because I just think of RoboCop.
There's still a petition circulating to get a statue of him erected there.
Is there really?
Didn't get
In
much
fact,
traction with the city government, but there are those who would like to see this happen.
Murd, it's in production. It's in production. It's happening.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Are you kidding, or is it really happening?
I'm 100% serious. That I saw some images the other day of what the RoboCop statue is going to look like. So yeah, I'm almost certain. I don't know where it's going to be yet, but it's happening.
It's tremendous.
Wow.
Yep. Oh, it's going to be at the I think the Michigan Science Museum, if I'm reading correctly.
All right, that makes sense.
Yep. So there we go.
By the way, while we're in Image, and I'll talk more about this in our next Comic Talk, Ian, especially this is for you. I just picked up, or got in my shipment, the first volume of Monstrous. Oh,
Yeah.
that's all I'll say for now.
Exactly. Yep.
To be continued.
Definitely something to wet your whistle while you're waiting for another comic that you so adore by Brian K. Vaughan to come back.
Yes, which I won't even mention because I'll be just too redundant. But
Page 62, gentlemen, Chew is back in one form or another. A crossover with Outer Darkness, a miniseries. John Layman and Afu Chan and Rob Gilroy are joining together for a crossover between Outer Darkness and Chew. And I am very happy to see that Chew still exists in one form or another, because that was one of my favorite series for years.
now, I never finished Chew. Were you satisfied with the ending without spoiling it?
I have not actually gotten to the ending.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, I had all the single issues, and then that was part of one of the groups of comics that I recently removed from my house. So I'm going to have to wind up getting the trades from the library to finish it up. But yeah, I got about 3/4 of the way there. I think I'm probably on about issue 75, if I remember correctly. So I'm looking forward to reading it, just because it was great while it was going on.
All right. I wanted to point out on page 76, I treated myself to like a small batch of trades from InStock, and I picked up Bitter Root Volume 1 by Dave Walker, Chuck Brown, and Sanford Green. I haven't read it yet, but I remember I read issue 1 when it came out. We talked about it on the air. I loved it. I just never got back to it, so I'm really looking forward to reading the first arc. I'll talk about that probably as well in our next Comic Talk.
I will mention just in passing on page 77, it's issue 12 of Crowded, and it's the end of the story arc. And there's a possibility that this might be some of the last Crowded we get for a while, just because the book, unfortunately, is not selling in the numbers that they would like it to. And I love the series, and I love the concept. For those of you who don't remember me mentioning it, it was one of my best of 2018 when we did it. But it's essentially a world where there's a crowdfunding site that you can go on to take out hits on individuals, and you then have 30 days to survive the contract that's been put out on you. And this one woman gets a hit on her and winds up hiring an agent to protect her off of another crowdfunding site, and it goes from there. And one of the main problems with it is that more people are reading it than actually buying it, because it's one of those books that does really well on pirate websites. Because it's a book that does really well with the youth, but the youth aren't going to buy it. So that's unfortunately a major issue that the industry is having right now. But if you have a chance to pick up Volume 1 of Crowded, do so. This is obviously the final issue of this story arc, so it'll be in Volume 2 when it's collected. But do yourself a favor and give it a read if you haven't done so. I really enjoyed the book.
Well, Ian, your seal of approval is enough for me, and I think you've also raised a very interesting point, which is, and I see this as a teacher and as a parent, is that whereas older readers like ourselves will still fork out money for, a paper copy or trade or a quote legitimate online version. A lot of younger people, if they're reading comics at all, and most are not, but if they are, they're often going to go the route you're describing.
Oh yeah.
So.
And a lot of them don't even realize that they're pirate sites, because it's the first thing that comes up when you put in free comics. That first website comes there and like, oh, it's got all these comics, so clearly it must be legitimate. Not really.
Page 83, I just got issue 1. I haven't read it yet, is The Old Guard. This is the second miniseries by the master Greg Rucka and artist Leandro Fernandez about a team of mercenaries who are actually immortals from various periods in the military history, and how they band together to monetize their skills and make their way. They can be killed, but otherwise they don't die. And the first miniseries was magnificent. The way Rucka wove history in with just the fact these people some of them are so old they don't even really remember in many cases that their earlier years and lives. I'm really looking forward to reading the second miniseries. And I have nothing else for Image. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. I'm ready for Dark Horse.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Dark Horse it is.
And
look at page 94. Murd, look at that. Look at that art on page 94.
Yes, I'm looking and I am loving, Chris.
I figured you would.
Yep, we got some Mike Allred here. Just written and drawn by the same, with colors by his wife Laura. Variant cover by Chris Samney, with colors by Matt Wilson. It's X-Ray Robot, a 4-issue miniseries. It's some real gear graphics here, folks. It's about a scientist named Max, who is contacted by a robot from 270 years in the future, who claims to be his future, Max's own future self. He's basically a mechanical reliquary for Max's mortal remains. It's like a skeleton and organs inside of a mechanical shell. Plus, he has the superpower to X-ray, I guess, see into and also travel to other dimensions. And he's in the middle of a battle with a being called the Nihilist, who wants to take all life to its pre-Big Bang status. So things are going to get trippy. I mean, this one image on page 94 is enough to tell you that. And those covers, I think I'm going to, much as I love Allred's artwork, I think I got to go for the Somni variant cover with all
the Somni variant's tremendous.
All the different versions of Max doing the samba or whatever dance that is together. It's not quite a conga, but it's close. But it's definitely got Allred sensibilities. It's going to be totally Ginchy, and I'm in. It's a gem of the month.
And it's got effusive testimonials from both Bendis and Rob Thomas, the creator of Veronica Mars. So I'm definitely going to try this as well. I loved Allred's work on Silver Surfer. That was such a masterful series. So very excited about that.
I like the look of on the very next set of pages on page 96. New miniseries starting by Justin Giampaolo and Andrea Muti. Love Andrea Muti's art.
I love Muti's art. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So good. And this one's about a cultural anthropologist that consults with the U.S. Naval Intelligence to investigate the discovery of an extraterrestrial ship buried under the ice for thousands of years in Siberia. The meddling Russians, Vatican officials, the international media spotlight, and her own insecurities all threaten her efforts to keep the fabric of society from crumbling. Very cool concept here. It's a miniseries, so obviously if you want to wait until it's all said and done and read it in trade, be my guest. That's probably how I'm going to wind up reading it. But it looks really, really cool. Kind of reminds me slightly of Stargate in premise. And maybe even a little bit of some other sci-fi material thrown in there.
Well, I'm always a sucker for stories where they try to explain that human life, began in the stars. Plus, it's got those meddling Russians. I mean, I'm thinking about the Russians. In my class, I'm teaching World War II right now, and I just talk. There's not a lot of time, so just talk a little bit about Mussolini. But you just got to show a photograph of him without a shirt, jutting his chin out, because that's what he'd like to do back in the 1930s. Until his people shot him, hung him upside down from a gas station. But anyway, and then the kids did realize, hey, doesn't Putin ride around with his shirt off a lot too? And just meddling Russians, you got to love that.
And they would have gotten away with it too if not for you meddling Russians.
All right, moving on.
Murd, did you see what was on page 105?
I had seen it. Yes. Oh, yes. It's Michel Fife of Cobra.
Yep.
Yes, I had seen that. I hadn't even really taken notice of who created it, but it's about a boy who can twist his face around a stick.
Okay.
Okay then. Thrilling. It's typically surreal stuff for FIFA. I think maybe it doesn't suit my sensibilities quite as well as Cobra does, but it's by a talented creator, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love this bit of dialogue. I just swallowed a piece of my own flesh, and I think I'm gonna be sick.
A perfectly sane reaction.
Look at those poor nostrils. Holy mackerel.
I see that there's another library edition of Avatar: The Last Airbender Imbalance. I love the Avatar: The Last Airbender continuation series that Dark Horse has been doing for the past couple of years, and they continue that here on page 106. This one's by Peter Wortman and art and cover by Ryan Hill. Got a bunch of really good, interesting stories that continue that series past its conclusion.
Well, you're a longtime fan of that, right? That concept?
Yep, sure am.
Yeah.
And the live-action Netflix series should be coming in another year or two. I mean, it's going to take them a while to actually put it all together, but I don't.
Now, you were not a fan of the Shyamalan version?
Oh, that movie was trash. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was not a very good movie. It didn't have any of the heart or humor that you could associate with Avatar in it. So that was a problem, and it basically helped ruin M. Night Shyamalan's career up until a couple of years ago.
But was that before or after that ridiculous movie about the girl in the pool?
That was after it. But
His career wasn't already ruined by...
It just kept getting worse.
Okay.
But his last couple have been great, so it's...
Well, what was the name of that film? Is it The Girl in the Water?
Yes, Girl in the Water, yep.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I've probably mentioned this in the air before, but because you reminded me.
Yeah.
That movie, I laughed so hard that I started to twitch and weep in my seat because I thought it was so outrageously bad and such a waste of a magnificent cast. I'm a huge Paul Giamatti fan.
Yeah.
And when Shyamalan put himself in the film and his character was a writer destined to change the world, I lost it completely.
Yeah, that was me with The Village, to be honest. I actually cracked the hell up with the big reveal in The Village.
All right. I was deeply excited by page 108. Have you guys read Luther Arkwright by Brian Talbot?
No.
No.
Ian, you haven't read it?
I have not.
Okay. So this is, back, I think it was in the 90s that the second part, Heart of Empire, came out. And just on a whim, I picked it up on the shelf at one of the comic shops I frequented at that time. I didn't know who Brian Talbot was. Well, actually, no, I did know he did Killing Joke. But otherwise, I didn't know anything about his work. It just, the images really, really struck me. This book blew my mind. And I'm so thrilled they're putting both volumes down to one edition. I will certainly be buying this. It's so good. I don't want to even talk too much about it because, Murd, you would enjoy this quite a bit. There's some real psychedelic aspects to it. There's time travel. There's a dystopian like future totalitarian Britain. Like, it's so well done. So definitely excited about that. What else, brothers?
Not a lot else in Dark Horse for me, unfortunately. I think I'm actually pretty much done with it, but what about the rest of you?
On page 116, I did read issue 1 of The Butcher of Paris. I mentioned in a previous episode I was looking forward to this. It's about because this is a story of World War II. I knew nothing about how there was a serial killer running rampant in Nazi-occupied Paris. I read the first issue; it was very intriguing, and I'm looking forward to continuing with it. So I'm on board with that one.
Did you bring up the Incredibles, the story of the movies in comics hardcover?
No, I did not. So be our guest.
Okay, sure. That's on page 119. And it, actually, I'm not even exactly sure what it is. Written by Alessandro Ferrari, art by Various. It might just be it's a graphic novel, it says, which means it's probably a collection of past Incredibles-inspired comics material. Whether it's an adaptation of the films or the original content that goes beyond the films. In any event, it's a collection of Incredibles comics. So if you enjoyed the movies, and if you're enjoying the miniseries that they've been doing at Dark Horse based on this property, here's more of the same.
Do you want to go to DC?
Yeah, we can go ahead and head over to DC. Let's do it.
Okay, so when I got my previews and I saw this cover and I saw the creators involved, Ian,
Yeah.
I mean, you have those like little fanboy orgasms in your head, basically. I just so what's exciting about this is it's Tom King being given the reins. It's not fair to call Adam Strange like a B-list character. Let's just say he's a character who I've always really enjoyed, but maybe hasn't been used as frequently as people would like or to his fullest potential.
Yeah.
And I think about what King did with The Vision, what he did with Mr. Miracle, and I'm very confident he's going to do that now with Adam Strange.
Yeah.
Yep, with the help from not only his Mr. Miracle co-creator Mitch Gerrits, but also Evan Doc Shaner, that wonderful, clean, classic yesteryear style of his. It's that's obviously going to be a part of the theme that's being communicated here. The juxtaposition of the classic comic style and the grittier, more deconstructionist style of Garrett's. It's going to be showing us the juxtaposition of the bright and dark sides of colonialism, which appears to be what King is. He's identifying Adam Strange as a symbol of this, part of a legacy, including characters like Flash Gordon and Tarzan. So I think this is going to be an excellent maxi series.
Yeah, me too.
And I mean, I'd buy just because Doc Shaner's art is in there, but it's being written by our friend Tom King. So let's dive in.
And it's Adam Strange, which I don't think we get enough Adam Strange.
We never
And
did.
what I really enjoy about the description is that, Adam Strange, war hero, war criminal, because he's the champion of this planet, Ron, and the fact that, King's going to put some political intrigue here and sort of address the consequences of his role as the guardian of the civilization. I cannot wait to read this.
I love that they wrote Stranger Danger on it, because that's the best pun they could ever possibly use with a guy like Adam Strange. So
All in.
yeah.
12 issues.
It's another series, though, where I am most definitely going to wait for all 12 to be collected, because in general, Tom's stories for me, I think, feel like they read a lot better when you've got it all in one boat, as opposed to going month by month.
It's funny you mention that, because as I said, I treated myself to a batch of trades, and I ordered Vision and Mr. Miracle. I've read them both, but I read them in the monthly format. So I'm looking forward to reading them again in one sitting, essentially, because like you said, I'm sure going to get even more out of the stories in that way.
Yeah.
So I'm deeply excited for this. I love when they take characters of, they're great concepts. Maybe they haven't gotten their full due, and they put in the hands of a creator who has proven he could just mine aspects of the character that maybe we haven't been explored before. So tremendous.
To fans out there, by the way, if you're wondering why all of a sudden it sounds like Shane and Murd are in a tube, it's because we're actually currently on speakerphone with them in the studio, as the internet has conked out on them. So hopefully we'll have that resolved soon enough in the episode. But wanted to make sure that we still had them contributing on this episode. So for now, they do it via the phone.
How about on page 10? Shane, I thought of you especially for this Gotham High trade paperback.
Yeah, I was curious about that. I didn't pick up the issues, but being that it's in a trade, I might.
Yeah.
Is this an OGN, or it's an OGN, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an OGN.
Okay.
Yep, there's a letter from the upper left.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I thought there was a Gotham High something not long ago, mate. That's what I'm getting confused with. But that's all right.
What you're thinking
No,
of?
it looks good.
What you're thinking of, Shane, was Gotham Academy, I think.
That's it.
Yeah. This is another in the line of like young adult graphic novels that DC's been putting out of late, and it's been doing really well for them. And the art looks terrific by Thomas Patilli. So
That sure does.
yep.
I just love the concept of Selina, the Joker, and Bruce all being in high school together.
Yeah. Especially when they're naming him Jack Napier.
Jack Napier, yep.
Very 89 throwback.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that goes back to a concept for an animated series that almost wound up happening about, I think, back in the late '90s, early 2000s. There was a concept for essentially a Gotham High School style animated series that would have aired on either Kids WB or Cartoon Network, I forget which. That got as far as concepts, but never actually wound up like doing a pilot or what have you. But it was in the pipeline once upon a time.
Ian, your knowledge of this stuff is always, man.
Yeah, that one I never heard of.
Yep. Yeah, I watched a YouTube video on it forever ago, so that it stuck with me as like a what could have been type of scenario. But we didn't wind up touching on the Robin 80th anniversary 100-page super spectacular, which is another one of those issues that looks like it has writing by everyone and art by everyone.
Yeah.
And a cover by Lee Weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a gorgeous one at that.
I just find Lee Weeks' artwork it just seems to get better and better as the years progress. I'm really in awe of his work.
Yeah, he does poses so well. They're always so
Yes,
striking.
he does.
Yep.
All right, brothers, what else in DC strikes your fancy?
Well, I'm kind of surprised that Ocean Master is back. I'm not sure that I knew he left, but that's just me.
They come back. They leave, they come back.
Yeah.
They leave, they come back. How about on page 8, actually, talking about something for the kids. It's a graphic novel for kids that probably would have been under that graphic novel line once upon a time, but now everything's under DC or it's not. My Video Game Ate My Homework by Dustin Hanson and art by him as well. It's a funny, fast-paced adventure that shows the importance of cooperation and teamwork, as well as the importance of using your own unique abilities to solve problems. Looks really interesting, and I dig the
Yeah, it looks fun.
the art reminds me a little bit of like Muppets artwork.
Yeah, a little bit.
God, the struggles I have at home with my some of the video games, I didn't even want to look at that book. Sorry.
Understood.
Yeah.
No, but for me, I totally wasn't up until 3 a.m. playing Pokemon last night. No, that couldn't have possibly happened. No.
Well, I did just open the newest Legend of Zelda, which is very much a throwback to the way I like playing Zelda.
Yeah. The remake of what was it? What is it? Link to the Past, I think.
Maybe Link to the Past. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I think that's right.
That looks really good because I know they did a similar one for 3DS a couple of years ago, and now this one's for the Switch.
Yeah. Yep. Page 28. I missed this on my first pass around. Harley Quinn 71, guest starring Booster Gold.
You're gonna
This kind of makes sense for.
You're gonna wind up buying a book with Booster Gold in it? What?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Really? What?
Will it mention Heroes in Crisis?
I was wondering that, Murray. Yeah.
The less they mention Heroes in Crisis, the better.
Ian, I love when you get bit. I love when you get bitter.
I'm sorry. It didn't work for me. Not everything's gonna work for me. This one didn't. Oh boy.
I'd still love to see a Brave and the Bold boostering Beetle.
That
would be nice, and maybe sometime in the next 5 or 10 years you'll get what you want.
Maybe.
Murray, I want to ask you on page 37, has Charlie Fish been writing Looney Tunes for a while? Or is it just this issue?
I would guess this is not his first time writing Looney Tunes characters, but yeah, he's he's the author of Scooby-Doo Team Up.
Right. Yeah.
The entirety of his run. So yeah, he knows his way around licensed characters at DC, and I don't think he certainly hasn't been the regular writer of Looney Tunes for all 250 plus.
No, I knew that.
Run,
yeah.
But
I know you admire his work, and I was just wondering if he'd been on the book in the past. I wanted to point out on page 36, the opposite page, I'm in the midst of reading the Lois Lane mini by Greg Rucka. It's so good. Ugh. Lois Lane is investigating, a conspiracy in the DC universe, and it also explores the tension that creates in her marriage with Clark. Whether or not she wants Superman to be involved, it's really well done. There's only one Rucka.
Now, on page 39, Nightwing number 70, written by Dan Jurgens, art by Ronan Cliquet and Travis Moore. Just the headline, 4 Nightwings down, 1 to go, has me interested in this. How many Nightwings does it take for one Joker to strike before he gets the real one? So I guess there's some confusion going on in who's who in this, but haven't been reading Nightwing for a while, but that just immediately caught my eye.
I love on page I'm ahead a bit at 45 the Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 9 cover. Jimmy gets a clue.
Yeah.
It's Fraction and Libra. I'm gonna read this in trade when it comes out because I just couldn't swing it financially with all the stuff I was getting. But this looks so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here.
What else, comrades?
Page 50, as usual, I mentioned Young Justice. Meet the all-new Young Justice. Now that Young Justice has figured out who the bad guys are, it's time to bring the fight to Star Labs' front door. But the combined forces of Dial H for Hero, the Wonder Twins, Naomi, and the entire Young Justice roster may not be enough to defeat the evil scientists. It's time to call in some superpowered backups. The new Young Justice. Plus, how will Superman revealing his secret identity affect Connor Kent? So we get a little bit of everything in this one, and looks like we're going to get some Aqualad and Secret and a whole bunch of other cool people. Spoiler, yep. Arrowette. I'm in.
Yep.
Ian, later on in the catalog, they have the trade solicited for the first 6 issues. I may pick that up because I only read issue 1, and you've been raving about this series.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh. Only issue 1.
Shane, you know, and also I want to add our discussion prior to us recording. I feel like I failed you tonight on a variety of levels, and considering how much you mean to me and how much I admire and respect you, I'm glad there isn't a seppuku knife nearby because, you know, I'll try to redeem myself, you know, down the road.
Did somebody say ritual sacrifice?
You'll do fine.
Thanks, honey. I wanted to point out this. I always like when DC does this. On page 63, we can always jump back, but they're doing some new facsimile editions.
I was just looking at that.
Yep, Brave and the Bold 28, Detective Comics 38, Mystery in Space 75.
Now flip the page once more.
What do we got? Dollar
Page
Comics?
66, Dollar Comic Justice League #1, because I don't own enough copies of that.
This will be what, your 13th version of that comic?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And the 100-page Giants coming out this month include Aquaman Giant #3, Superman Giant #2, From Beyond the Unknown Giant #1, and Titans Giant #1. So, whole bunch of material all wrapped up into one. And we, for some reason, on the Dollar Comics, have to watch Jason Todd die again because they love showing us Jason Todd die.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. God, now as I look at, on page 67, Justice League 1, it seems so long ago that there was such a hullabaloo about the New 52. Doesn't it? And now it just doesn't matter.
Yep.
Well, yeah, because that's not even the origin anymore. Like it shifted and changed, and I think the reason that they're coming out with this now is because there've been rumors of like yet another reboot or yet another like change in backstory to make like Wonder Woman the oldest running hero again, and having some other changes and some legacy heroes taking over, like a whole bunch of rumors rolling around of exactly what it's going to be. And I guess it would make sense to have all these different versions of Justice League showing up to remind us of the legacy, but I'd much rather read JLA #1 by Grant Morrison and Howard Porter again on page 66 than I would any of the other Justice Leagues that are on here, other than
Not to mention Justice League Year 1, too.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is a classic.
Absolutely. Yep.
I guess I'm now old enough that I've owned everything on these 2 pages when it first came out, except Swamp Thing. I didn't get that back then. But everything else I kind of bought off the shelf.
Feeling your middle age, aren't you, Shane? I certainly am.
Sure am.
Murd, I thought of you on page 77, DC First Issue Special hardcover. They're collecting all the first issue special issues, including the Dingbats of Danger Street.
Yes, one of a few Kirby concepts we're being given here, including Atlas, Richard, and Manhunter, and Mike Grell's Warlord, which debuted here. It was a tryout book of the 70s. And I don't know why they're not mentioning this here, but this also gave us the first appearance of Mikhail Tomas, the Blue Starman.
Really?
Yeah, and they didn't even mention it in the presentation copy.
Well, that's crazy.
how far Starman has fallen. Apparently.
Yeah.
But yes, if this were a trade paperback, and if I didn't already own more than half of the issues it collects, I'd probably be picking it up. Oh, it also gave us our first look at the Jerry Conway take on the Kirby's New Gods.
And to follow up on that, since we did our micro spotlight about that just recently, on page 81, The New Gods by Jerry Conway hardcover.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mm-hmm. Hardcover of all the appearances of that iteration of the New Gods from the aforementioned first issue special, number 13, and a bunch of scattershot appearances after that, ending up with that Justice League of America arc that we just did a micro spotlight a bit ago.
And back up on page 71, something that could very well wind up being my best collected edition of 2020 when it's released. Superman Smashes the Klan trade paperback by Gene Lin Yang and Gurahiro.
Did you read the floppies, Ian?
No, I've been waiting for this.
Okay, I want to try this too. I was definitely intrigued when I saw the original solicitation.
Yep, it's absolutely gorgeous art by Gurahiro, and Gene Yang I always love. So this is all 3 issues of that collected into one edition. And the page above it, by the way, was Batman Last Night on Earth, if you've been looking to see what Snyder and Capullo's quote-unquote last time on Batman is going to look like. But I have a feeling they'll be back for more eventually.
I'm looking on. I just took me back on page 83, Superman: The Golden Age, Volume 5. I had this cover image as a poster in my store. I'm such a sucker for those. Granted, in our current sensibility, often deeply racist Golden Age wartime covers, but that's a classic image.
I see they're collecting some Steve Englehart
Yes.
Batman stuff on page 80.
Great stuff. That's great stuff.
Yep. Tales of the Batman, Steve Englehart hardcover.
Shane, you a fan of those stories?
I am. I just wish the hardcover wasn't so darn expensive.
Yep. Yeah. Well, if you'd rather, I'm sure that they're all on DC Universe or on Comixology.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Plenty of other ways to read them.
I'm very happy with the DC Universe comics side of things. They're doing a good job of bringing stuff in.
Yep. And Merge, you'll be happy with page 81. Collecting some more Shazam, the world's mightiest mortal stuff into one package.
Okay, whatever gets the material into the hands of the current generation of readers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm glad because this means that it's all been digitized, which means that it'll probably, if it's not already on the DC Universe app, probably be showing up there soon, and more than likely Comixology as well. Because those were glaring omissions on the digital end for a while.
On page 82, I didn't realize Tom King worked with Andy Kubert on a Superman story, Up in the Sky, issues 1 through 6.
From the 100-page giant.
Okay. All right.
That were in Walmart. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that was also when Bendis got to work on Batman.
Batman, yeah.
Anything else from DC, gentlemen?
I mean, I'll mention just because they're here on pages 92 and 93, available to comic shops for the first time. A whole new collection of 1/12 scale Justice League Unlimited action figures, and it's the main characters, so just Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, The Flash, Jon Stewart, Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl with an Aquaman as well.
That was a great show.
Yep.
So damn good, and we'll probably be talking more about that on a top 5 soon.
Oh, look at you, tantalizing! All right,
and I think that's it for
you guys.
DC
Ready
today.
for IDW?
Yep. We now return to being able to hear everyone. Already in progress.
In stereo.
Haha.
God, you forget just how shitty phone audio is compared to Skype until you have to go back to it for a little while.
Yeah, for our listeners, we will endure any audio hardship cross vast expanses of
Space and time.
apocalyptic audio landscapes to bring you this program, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. And we
Got
begin.
him, full of turds. All right, let's continue.
We begin IDW with page 130. Because, oh my God. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, now this is a good opportunity because did anybody else see the new Terminator film besides me?
I did, actually.
I want to. I missed it in the theater. I want to get it.
I went.
See any Terminator film.
What?
What? Oh, boy. That was me until a few years ago, to be honest, Murd.
All right, Murd, once again, here's what we're going to do. So next time I see you, I'll just bring you the first movie because it's a classic 80s science fiction film.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have it on VHS, Chris?
Well, you have a DVD player, don't you?
I do, but this is such a quintessential 80s movie. I just feel it should be experienced in the quintessential 80s
That's fair,
format.
but Murd, I'm sorry, I no longer own any VHS tapes.
Alas.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I saw the new one in the theater randomly on a Tuesday for $6, and it was worth $6. It was good, but I can also understand why not a lot of people went to go see it. Just because it suffers from the same damn problem that Superman Returns did and all that. Where like hey, remember all those movies that came after that weren't nearly as good? We're just gonna go ahead and ignore those and reboot things from where you loved it.
Yeah, I'm glad you only paid $6 for it. I found it very underwhelming.
Yeah.
I love Linda Hamilton. It was great to see her back in that character.
Oh yeah.
There were some amusing moments with Arnold when he talks about interior decorating, but it's one of those films where when Ryan and I left, we both thought, do they need to make this? So
I actually appreciated that it was a take on modern day politics in some ways.
True.
I really liked Mackenzie Davis's character. Grace. I think that she was an excellent addition to the.
Yeah, I liked her too.
Yeah, and I just love her in everything. She's one of my favorite actresses. But other than that, yeah, it was kind of it was better. It is easily my third favorite Terminator movie.
Okay. Well, what do you think about the concept of Transformers versus Terminator #1?
I think that I'm surprised this hasn't happened before.
It's a good point. Yeah.
IDW continues to make comic books out of whatever properties they have.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
So it's a crossover for the ages, and this could be fun. It's probably mostly going to be stupid, but it could be fun.
Sometimes stupid is refreshing, though. Come on.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm jumping way ahead, so we can always jump back, but this got my heart racing. Page 146. Shane, take a look. Star Trek, Hell's Mirror. Writer J.M. DeMatteis taking on Khan and the Mirror Universe. Immediately. Wow.
Wow. I love Mirror Universe.
Is this going to be the first issue of a miniseries or a one-shot or what? We're not giving
it doesn't
be given a duration
say
here.
Anyway,
I'm guessing it's a one-shot?
Yeah, I am too.
If it is, I might be in too.
I think it is a one shot. Yeah, it just says 36 pages and doesn't say anything about being more than that.
Yeah, but DeMatteis,
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorite writers in the medium. I'm actually, this is 2 months in a row now because last month I was excited by I think it was the Star Trek Valentine's special that I ordered that looked really interesting.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And now this, because I haven't read any Star Trek comics in a long time, so
Yeah, it's a while since I've read any.
I'm looking forward to these.
I want to read the Mirror Universe Next Generation series that came out. I have not had a chance to do so.
Oh,
yet.
that was the last thing I read. That was fantastic.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
J.K. knocked it out of the park with that.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Yep.
I'm glad you reminded me of that, Ian. Well done. Yeah, that was excellent.
Page 141, gentlemen, is it is a joy to see all that art in one place because that is my childhood right there.
Yeah.
The Marvel art of the brothers Hildebrand.
Yeah, I got that Black Panther card. Oh, beautiful.
It's so beautiful, so beautiful. And I traded these with my friends so much back in the day.
What were you saying, Murd? I'm sorry.
I was just Shane was saying that he still has
have my cards.
the whole set at home. I know I do too.
Yeah.
You know, Matt and I collected those back in the
Now, wait a minute. Let's a moment of history. Murd, were these the cards that Matt used to seduce you into the world of comics?
No, he used the Marvel Universe Trading Cards Series 1 and 2.
Okay.
And the two of us together collected Series 3, and then the Marvel Masterpieces came out shortly after that.
All right.
Somewhere in my mother's apartment is a near complete. I never got the full collection, but a near complete collection of Flare Ultra X-Men 95. I think I'm missing maybe 20 cards from that whole damn thing, but that was an obsession of mine when I was growing up. Was like trying to complete that. I came so damn close.
Remember that brief window where comic book related cards were actually a thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Got a box full of them.
Now, IDW doesn't have a lot more for me. What about you guys for this month?
I have one mark made on page 138. Marvel Action Avengers #2. Again, this is IDW's subcontracted series of Marvel character series
all
for
ages books, yep.
all ages audience. Yes, but it's written by Katie Cook, and it's her take on a team up between Captain America and Squirrel Girl as they take on the Trapster.
Nice.
So yes, for Katie's sake.
Paste Pot Pete.
How she writes Pete Petruski.
She's been talking about this nonstop on her Facebook for the last couple of weeks about how happy she is that she got to write Paste Pot Pete. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Villain. It interested me far more than anything else in the issue. So good. I'm glad that's what interested her the most too.
Yeah.
I will be getting this.
That's awesome.
Shane, you got anything else for IDW?
No, I don't think so. I like the cover for that G.I. Joe number 274, I think it was a few pages
Wild
back.
Weasel!
To me, that cover looks like classic G.I. Joe artwork.
Yeah.
I'm so woefully behind. I have not gotten much of the newer stuff since they continued the numbering, and that's been quite a few years now. But that cover jumped out at me.
You know what? I'm sorry. That's not Wild Weasel. That's
Copperhead.
Yeah, the guy who drove the swamp vehicle. Yeah, you're right though. It does have that classic feel to it.
Page 160, I will jump down to.
All right.
The Grot, the story of the Swamp City Grifters, written and drawn by Pat Grant. He is described in the solicitation text as the Australian Mark Twain.
Wow.
Author of Blankets and Habibi. And in his follow-up to the critically acclaimed Blue, Pat Grant weaves a page-turning graphic novel about economic inequality and exploitation, desperation, and the gambler's addiction to hope, even in the worst of times.
So he's writing about now. Okay.
Yes, it certainly does seem that way, especially with the way Australia is going right now. And to any of our Australian listeners, we send our love and our best because it's been a rough couple of weeks.
Indeed.
That's horrific.
Yeah.
But remember, climate change isn't real. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a Facebook notification of 3 years prior when it was 67 degrees here in New York randomly in the middle of January. That 3 years ago on the exact same date, it was another spring day in January. So yeah, no coincidence there.
Anything else from IDW, gentlemen?
Nah, I'm pretty much ready for Marvel.
All right. Okay, so what do we think about Strange Academy?
I think I'm in.
I'm actually surprised they've never done this concept before. Now that I think about it, like Doctor Strange having a school, plus the team, Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and Humberto Ramos is so ideally suited to drawing concepts like this. So I'm sure I'm going to try this.
This reminds me of everything I loved about Wolverine and the X-Men.
Oh, I forgot how good that series was. Thank you for reminding me, sir.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Jason Aaron.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that that's exactly what I'm going to get out of this. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to giving this a go.
All right, I'm really excited on page 10. Spider-Man Noir, 1939, overseas into Europe on the eve of war. Art looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So I've never really, I know the character. I've never really read any of the stories involving the character. I love how he was used by Nicolas Cage in the Into the Spider-Verse movie. But I'm going to try this. Absolutely.
Oh, since it's one page above, what do we think of Spider-Woman's new costume?
Not bad.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think
I like the black tone.
It's kind of the Miles Morales approach.
Yeah.
And I'm somewhat excited for a new Spider-Woman comic.
Yeah.
I liked what was the one years ago out?
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
There was one that Bendis did because he was such a Jessica Drew fan.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that was brief. That was a brief run, wasn't it, Shane?
It was only like 8 issues or something like that. It was crazy small.
Yeah.
So now Marvel has Carla Pacheco and Carlos Pacheco. I don't know if there's any relation there, but it's if it's not any relation, it's one hell of a coincidence.
Cable number 1 on page 13 by Jerry Duggan and Phil Noto. He's a great artist. Ugh.
Yep.
That cover's fantastic.
It's Cable.
Look at that! Look at that Silver Samurai. Ugh.
It's Cable, and he's younger now.
Yep.
Silver Samurai looks like Tweaky on that cover.
You know, Bird, I have one of my fondest memories of this past summer is during our retreat at your fabled summer residence. We're all half asleep trying to get through a Buck Rogers episode.
Yeah, I'm afraid you did, Shane. It was a Saturday. We had come back from a heavy seafood dinner, and we put on MeTV and watched a Buck Rogers episode and
Midnight.
and also Star Trek. I think
No,
it was the
first, Shane, it was Star Trek Amok Time.
Oh, awesome. What Buck Rogers episode?
The Space Vampire Bird, I think it was.
Oh, that one's creepy. I saw that was on, and I turned it off.
that was one of the few I remember watching as a youngster.
Yep, that one terrifies the hell out of me.
Yeah,
What struck me was the moment where Aaron Gray is in his thrall. She's getting very sexual on screen.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wow, Buck Rogers, 1979.
You remember my dad and I watching that episode in the back, what used to be the playroom on this little, it was bigger than 13, maybe 20-inch tube TV. Oh, I hated that episode. Oh, horrifying as a kid. Ugh, just creeped me out.
Shane, you were there in spirit.
Oh.
All right, I'm excited on page 17. X-Men Giant Size Magneto 1. Hickman, Ben Oliver. So it explores Magneto in his role as the ambassador for the mutant island of Krakoa.
Yeah.
So
I gotta catch up on the last couple of X-Men issues because this is still it's so nice to see X-Men finally getting the love that it deserves, you know?
I gotta catch way up. I've only read a couple, but what I've read has been outstanding. So hopefully we can have a proper discussion about that down the road. Mm-hmm. Mentioned last month, really excited. Go ahead, Bert. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're trying to give the X-Men the kind of shelf space share they used to have decades ago, too, because there are so many new X-Men series all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And page 12 is one that I'm interested in. This is more the book that I had hoped the Marauders ongoing series was going to be, because it's about Mr. Sinister and a bunch of X-villains, including one of his own former Marauders, Scalp Hunter, forming a little team. And this is the series that probably should have been called Marauders, and Kitty Pryde and her pirates could have been called the Hellions for all I care. But it's a villain book. It's sinister. It's one of the actual Hellions named Empath, Nanny and Orphan Maker, Wild
Nanny
Child.
and Orphan Maker, wow.
Yep, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And Quanon, the lady who loaned Betsy Braddock her body for a bunch of years as Psylocke. And for some reason, Alex Summers is in there. And that is kind of the big big surprise, the big stinger there that Havoc is involved. It's written by Zeb Wells, art by Steven Segovia, and I'm going to give it a try. I do enjoy villain team-ups, and it involves one of my very favorite Marvel bad guys, Sinister.
Nice.
Murd, we look forward to your inevitable critique. I mentioned last month looking forward. I haven't gotten the first issue yet. X-Men Fantastic Four, Chip Zdarsky, Terry Dodson. Come on. What else do you need to know?
Yep.
I think Zdarsky was my breakthrough talent last year, if I remember correctly. We did the award show.
So
Great writer.
page 26. What is Empire, and why is there a road to it?
Well, it says here, Ian, this is going to be their massive spring event.
Okay. That doesn't tell me much, but I because I feel like there have been 7 that I've heard about so far, but this is Road to Empire, the Kree Skrull War. It's got Captain Marvel on it, so clearly it must take a bit place slightly in the past, considering also it has a very older style looking Iron Man and Thor and Quicksilver and all those guys on it. So it's
the copy says they're in the narrative they're returning to the origins of the Kree Skrull War, which of course go way back, actually beyond past the Kree Skrull War classic from the I guess I should say that was early Bronze Age, right, Murd?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like beginning of the
15-cent
70s.
covers, yeah. But on the next page, what's really exciting is all the classic stories as part of this push for this new story they have in their True Believer $1. Great stuff there.
oh yeah.
You got Avengers 89, Avengers 133 with Mantis. Fantastic Four 37, great stuff.
So
Galactus 1.
Galactus.
Thank you. Giant Size Avengers where Mantis marries the Kotati version of the Swordsman. Oh, Murd, my heart's racing here. All right, who's as excited as I am for page 30?
Yeah.
Holy poo. Ross, Biusic, and in some ways, most importantly, Rude. Marvel, 1 of 6.
Yeah. I didn't even know that this was happening. So this is this I am way more interested in than Marvel's X. So this is a sequel that is well deserving and could be just as good as the original, especially with those creators involved.
Yeah, it's an anthology, and there's like a framing narrative done by Alex Ross, I believe. But over the series, you're going to see work, it says here, by Adam Hughes, Bill Sienkiewicz, Dan Brereton. Wow. Look at the Rude art for the Avengers in the Silver Age on the next page. Written by Biusic, art by Rude. The Boy and the Brute, classic Silver Age hyperbole. In, without hesitation.
I'm just going to have a hard time holding off on issues to get the hardback later, maybe.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to, but we'll see.
And how about on
we'll see order.
How about on page 34, Submariner, Marvel Snapshot #1. Alan Brenner with Kurt Busiek writing, Jerry Ordway art. Murd.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in for this. I mean, this is this was Busiek's idea. This is Busiek's project, the snapshot thing, and there's going to be 8 of these all told, if I'm remembering correctly, like 2 per month for 4 months. And and we've got Evan Dorkin and Sarah Dyer with input from Busiek doing the Johnny Storm Human Torch the same month.
His 10-year high school reunion. I'm really looking forward to reading these. I love when Marvel explores the nooks and crannies of their fabled history. So, all right. What else, brothers?
Well, I need to catch up on Iron Man because or at least read the Iron Man 2020 miniseries when it's all said and done. Because Slott and Gage with art by Pete Woods, I am very, very interested in.
Yeah, I like
what's going
Pete
on
Woods'
there.
work.
Yep.
On page 45, so I broke down. I couldn't, Ian, I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't wait month after month for Marvel Unlimited to post Immortal Hulk back issues. I had to order the next 2 trades. They're on my nightstand, and we read them shortly. Because a lot of the superhero stuff doesn't get me that excited anymore month to month. This book, though, I'm in sheer awe of it. So I kept looking forward to cracking into those trades. Just got volumes 4 and 5.
I can understand.
Start to catch up.
And how about that cover for Immortal Hulk number 33, the variant cover by Joe Bennett, the take on the first issue like that. Oof, so cool.
Murd, what's the name of that creature again? I forgot his name. The white furry creature.
Zemnu.
Oh, Zemnu. Okay, that's right.
Xemnu. Zemnu. Yeah, the original Hulk.
That's an Atlas monster, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. When he reappeared later in the Bronze Age, he had to be renamed Zemnu the Titan, but originally he was the Living Hulk.
And again, this is another example. I'm not up to this point in the series, but how Ewing mines every facet of the Hulk's history and then does something innovative with it. Tremendous.
Ideas that were just right there out in the open, and nobody perceived them nor tried to do anything with them. Yeah, Ewing is his only equal right now, I think, for that kind of thing is Mark Waid.
All right, internet woes continue on the studio ends, and Shane had to bail on us while this was happening. So hopefully we'll have Murd back on shortly. But until then, it'll just be me and Chris. Murd was going to mention Doctor Strange on page 57.
And knowing Murd, probably he's going to talk about the fact that Dr. Druid is returning.
Yes. Yeah, he's always fun when he's around, isn't he?
Fun, often morally nebulous. And Murd would probably talk about how he's actually one of the earliest Marvel characters in that he was originally Dr. Droom, and then he eventually was then kind of transformed into Dr. Druid. So
man,
he could speak better to that than I would, but that might have been where he would have gone with it.
More than likely, yeah. I love the history behind some Marvel names, and how they've been reused over the years and changed, and how there's 2 Black Widows and 2 Human Torches.
Yep.
And 2
and they would do
Hulks.
prototype characters, there's early versions of like you mentioned Zemnu, who originally was the original Hulk's title, so to speak. So that's a fun area to explore.
Yep.
Ian, I'm excited. I mentioned this last month. Page 66, Gwen Stacy number 2. It's Gwen Stacy and Harry in high school, and the fact that it's Christos Gage and Todd Nauck. I mean, I'm really excited to read this series.
Yeah, no, it's a great team of creators, and Nauck looks like he's doing some sort of new shading on his artwork. It may very well be the colorist as well doing that, but it's a little, I don't know, it's a little more vibrant than his art can be at times. Mm. So, and I'm a huge Nauck supporter, obviously from the '90s, but happy to see him back with Marvel.
And I always like when they try to further sort of flesh out Gwen Stacy's history and her character. So, and look at that Adam Hughes cover. Oh God! So I'm all over that.
Yep.
I want to ask you a question, sort of a other media question. On page 74, is there going to be a Morbius movie?
Yes, there is. In fact, the trailer just came out.
Okay.
It is going to star the Joker that people liked the least as Morbius, Jared Leto.
Who is actually a great actor. So.
He is, yes. And from the trailer, and I mean, you can give it a watch when you get a chance. Mm-hmm. It very much looks like they are trying to tie in at least this bit to established Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
So even though these are side stories, there is a character that shows up in the trailer that is cementing the fact that, yes, this is actually Tom Holland's universe.
Okay.
Yeah. We get to see Toombs. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I look forward. I'll give it a watch.
Yep. So yeah, I don't know how much they're going to mention it and say other MCU stuff, but it's technically existing in the same universe.
All right. I want to point out, I've mentioned it before, but I so love the first couple issues. On page 87, Christopher Cantwell and Salvador Larroca's Doctor Doom is just tremendous.
Yep.
I I mean, Doom for me is always one of the most compelling characters in comics, and certainly in the Marvel Universe specifically. But they're doing a really interesting take on. They're putting Doom in a sort of a situation where you're not often accustomed to seeing him in, and like he's on the run in a sense, and it's gripping. So I highly recommend that. What else you got for Marvel, brother?
Flipping through here, not a lot of new stuff to report. A lot of existing titles. I will mention that the cannon fodder arc of Runaways concludes this month on page 90.
Wait. Why are you saying cannon fodder arc?
Because that's literally the name of the of the arc. Yeah.
I thought you were saying they were using the characters like cannon fodder. Okay, I didn't realize it was...
I'm sure that's probably happening in the series itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, issue 31, the storyline known as cannon fodder is concluding.
I finally sat down late last year. I watched the first issue of the TV series, the first episode. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And I was engaged, and I really liked the actors they chose to play the characters. I thought they more or less kind of nailed the characters. And did you watch more of that series, or not at all?
I've watched about 1.5 seasons worth. I haven't gotten past. I haven't finished season 2. I know season 3 is going to be the last because they're basically just winding down that portion of Marvel TV.
Okay.
Because they cancel Cloak and Dagger, and Cloak and Dagger show up in season 3 of Runaways. So that's basically what's happening there. But I enjoyed it a lot. I just haven't caught up to where it currently is.
Because the first episode, I almost said issue again. The first episode, I enjoyed it because I felt like they had really done their homework. They were obviously read the books. The actors, I felt, really captured the essence of the characters. Plus, you got to see James Marsden being one of the parents.
Yep.
Spike from Buffy. Is his last? Did I just screw up his last name?
No, James. It's James Marsters and
Marsters.
And James. Wait. See, now I'm confused. Which one's Cyclops and which one's Spike? Because those are the two that I wind up confusing all the damn time. It's like
I think
James...
Marsters is Spike, right?
Yeah. I think you're right. I have the internet in front of me right now. I'm gonna go ahead and double check that. But yes,
yeah, I'm getting old.
Yes, James Marsters. You are correct.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Page 99, Star Wars Bounty Hunters. So, I mean, who doesn't like a good bounty hunter story from the Star Wars universe?
Yep.
Great artwork.
I was going to mention a couple pages before that, the conclusion of Punisher Soviet on page 93.
Read the first issue, loved. I mean, no one does the Punisher like Ennis.
Yep.
I just got the second issue of my shipment. I haven't read it yet, but
nice.
Whenever I see his name attached to a Punisher, and this is Jason Burrows, his collaborator from the extremely terrifying, what's that apocalyptic book, The Crossed?
Yes.
Which is terrifying. the original series that Ennis did with that. So that it's good to see him working with Burrows again.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to reading the new Star Wars series, Charles Soule, the new Darth Vader, Greg Pak. Do you read the Marvel Star Wars stuff?
Nah, it's Star Wars comics have always been a blind spot for me.
Really? Okay.
In general, not a lot of existing property comics have ever really been read by me. Like I pick them up on occasion. Like I read the Buffy stuff for a little bit and some of the Angel stuff. But when it comes to Star Wars, I've never really gotten into it. I've always wanted to though. And I could easily see myself going back on, say, Marvel Unlimited and reading some of those, classics. And obviously, I kept hearing so many positive things about the Marvel Star Wars stuff that Aaron was doing. So I gotta go back and read that at some point as well.
Well, there's a wealth of great stories to enjoy. I mean, you go all the way back to the Marvel years, then the Dark Horse, which was that. I mean, Dark Horse did a wonderful job with license. And now what they're doing, it looks like Murd might be trying to get back to us.
Yep. He is there. Murd, you there?
I'm here. Hi, guys.
Huzzah. We haven't quite finished Marvel yet.
All right, very good.
Yep.
Yeah, I was trying to tell the folks about the return of Dr. Druid in Doctor Strange number 4, and apparently I blanked out mid-sentence, so I apologize.
Well, Murd, I anticipated that's where you were going, so I tried to fill in for you. I'm sure I was not a worthwhile proxy, but I mentioned how he was one of the earliest Marvel characters. Originally was Dr. Droom, and then became Dr. Druid, and kind of a morally nebulous character.
Chris, you've proved yourself more than equal to the task, my friend. Because all I said was that Mark Waid was bringing Dr. Druid back. I didn't the encapsulated history lesson, but good on you for going above and beyond.
Honored, brother.
Yeah.
Murd, we're in trades. Anything else you want to talk about in the floppies for Marvel?
Okay, I'm doing a high-speed flip-through. Probably nothing that isn't just a continuation of something that's been mentioned before in a past episode. Well, the Star Wars Bounty Hunters series looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, we mentioned that. Yep.
The satellite characters of the Star Wars galaxy are the things that I like the most. And this is going to be about Bosk and Dengar and that whole family of people. So I'll definitely pick that up. Yeah, okay. And so we've gotten to trades. I was going to say something about this collection on page 106 and 107, the Marvel Classic Comics Omnibus. As I remember, my elementary school library, well before I officially got into collecting comics, they had one or two of these sitting around on their magazine racks. And the one I remember the best is the H.G. Wells' Food of the Gods. A sci-fi story about a chemical substance that caused living things that consumed it to grow to fantastic size. So people versus giant rats and wasps and things. Yes, and I noticed that there's an Alice in Wonderland and an adaptation of Dickens' A Christmas Carol. So, they come through with a softcover version of this. I think I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, this hardcover is $150. I remember seeing these over the years in various back issue bins. And again, this is stuff that was coming out in looks like the latter Bronze Age. So you have a lot of great creators working for Marvel. Don McGregor, Claremont, Mantlo, Monk. Oh,
well,
great.
Speaking of great creators, page 111. Solomon Kane, the original Marvel years. Omnibus hardcover. Written by Robert E. Howard with Roy Thomas, Don Glut. Penciled by David Wenzel, Howard Chaykin, Steve Carr, Mike Mignola, John Bogdanov.
Bogdanov's a great artist. Yep.
So many damn good creators involved there. So that's I am not familiar with Solomon Kane that much. So it's going to be one that I'm going to have to check out.
And they did a movie version of Solomon Kane. I think it was with James Purfoy. Some years back. I see it on Netflix all the time.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, let's see if there's anything else I wanted to shout out in trades that anybody else wanted to shout out.
Not much else. There's a whole bunch of other reprints and what have you, but I'd say maybe the one thing that caught my eye was a little bit further down. They're collecting The Amazing Mary Jane by Leah Williams and Carlos Gomez. That 5-issue series. On sale April 2020. So,
did you read this?
No, I have not, but I'm interested in it. And once it's on Unlimited, I will definitely be giving it a read. And I forget whether I mentioned, but at Christmas, I did wind up getting a trade paperback copy of Spider-Man Life Stories. So now I have it in both digital and in hand. Yeah,
we have to do a deeper discussion on that down the road because that book. That's one of those rare books that got me out of my seat. I was so excited by it. I am good for Marvel unless you guys have other things you want to shout out.
I think that's it for me. Mur, you good?
I'm a lover of villain books, so 148, there's a collection of classic Mephisto stories. Speak of the Devil, by everybody from Stan Lee to Abnett and Lanning, with a little Christopher Priest thrown in for good measure, because Mephisto did play a part of his Black Panther series.
Sure did. In fact, the Black Panther will actually punch Mephisto out.
And you know what? Right beneath that, why not? For the art lovers out there, Marvel Monograph, The Art of Frank Cho. Just because it's Frank Cho. He's a damn good artist.
Yes, he is. And actually, I should point out, jumping back to the previous page, Murd was talking about the Mephisto stories. Silver Surfer #3 is one of my favorite Silver Age stories. It's in Son of Origins, the classic Fireside, where is it Mephisto or Mephisto, Murd? How do you always say it?
He has many names, Chris.
Fair enough. That's a good point. So it's when Mephisto taunts Norrin Radd that he can live forever with his beloved Shalabal. It's a classic John Buscema cover, The Power and the Prize. Great stuff.
Well, I'm glad it's classic Mephisto and that it doesn't include anything involving removing memories of certain spider marriage.
God, Ian, I'd almost forgotten about that till you brought it up. Why did you do that to me?
See how well it worked.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
All right, let's move on to, what are we at, Dynamite?
I believe so.
All right. I don't think I have much to say about Dynamite this month myself. What about you fellas?
Yeah, Priest's Vampirella, I believe, is the only thing I'm picking up from this particular publisher.
And I have yet to try that, and it's Priest. Have you read any of that, Mert?
No, I have not. But
Actually, Mert, that was a silly question. I apologize.
I've purchased every issue to date, but
Okay.
it'll be where I actually sample it in substance.
What about you, Ian? Anything?
I'm coming up empty, actually, so we can go ahead and move on to whoever's next.
All right.
Boom.
Boom it is.
Boom, boom, boom. Starting off with King of Nowhere, a new limited series.
That caught my eye as well, yep.
Yep. What page number is that?
That's on page 204.
There we go. Yep. W. Maxwell Prince, illustrated by Tyler Jenkins. That's a 5-issue miniseries by an Eisner Award winner for Ice Cream Man. And Tyler Jenkins is of Grass Kings and Black Badge. An unforgettable thriller that explores the miraculous, the mundane, and the mysterious in between. Lovable, drunken, low-life Dennis awakens on the outskirts of a mysterious village called Nowhere, home to a friendly populace of deformed, mutated, just left of normal citizens, and he has no memory of how he got there. So it's a little bit of a whodunit and some fantasy, some sci-fi, and a fish on a string.
All right. I'm intrigued on page 2, and I'm always a Kieran Gillen fan. What's in future? Trade reprinting issues 1 through 6, then issue 7. I wasn't familiar with this, but I'm always a sucker for Arthurian tales.
Mm-hmm.
This one brought into the present day. Anybody read this?
No, we've mentioned it on previous previews, though, and I was waiting for the collection to be out, so I'm glad it's starting in softcover, that they're not going to hardcover this one.
I love the... Go ahead, Mert. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I actually have at least skimmed the first couple of issues. It's about a poor hapless schlub, very far from the Indiana Jones mode of heroic archaeologist, but his grandmother is much more of the of that mode, and so between the two of them, they have to try and stop the misuse of Arthurian artifacts, and a threat based in Arthurian and Brittonic myth. Is returning to the modern world, and the two of them, grandmother and grandson, working together, have to try and thwart it. The lead character is very memorable and entertaining, and it's been well enough received, apparently, that what was originally a 6-issue miniseries is moving on to an issue 7 and a new story arc.
Well, I may try the trade. I love the Dan Moore art. Almost has a bit of a Romita Jr. feel to it. Very intriguing. And the Nerdist says, if you aren't reading the series, you probably need to rethink your life choices. Okay. All right.
Clearly, I have to...
I don't need a board to hit me in the head. Okay.
220, for anybody who's a fan of Jim Henson's The Storyteller. This is Jim Henson's The Storyteller Ghosts, #1, a new miniseries by Mark Laszlo. So continuing along with more Jim Henson's Storyteller action.
All right. You guys ready for the rest of the book, so to speak?
I think so.
Yep, let us so speak.
I wanted to point out on page 230 under Abrams, which always does great comic history stuff, they're doing another version of Kirby King of Comics by Mark Evanier, which is just, if you love the history of the medium, if you love Kirby, that is essential reading. It is the authorized biography of Jack Kirby. It's magnificent. The Art of the Simon & Kirby Studio, I also have that in my library, also a fantastic resource. Great stuff. On page 232 from Abstract, Terry Moore's imprint, Strangers of Paradise, the 25 omnibus. So they're collecting in one edition the sequel to Strangers of Paradise not too long ago. I shouldn't have to say more. It's I think to me, it's still one of the greatest comics ever created. And right now I'm enjoying his 5 years miniseries, which I don't know if it's the culmination of everything, but it certainly feels like it might be, but it's fantastic.
I'll mention on 242, issue 2 of The Man Who Fucked Up Time. They can put silly letters in there as much as they want, but that's exactly what the title is. And we mentioned issue 1 on previews last month, so go ahead and mention issue 2 this time because it's layman and it's time travel. What else do you need?
Ian, I love when you put on your big boy pants and give because your voice is so sonorous when you swear. It has a majestic quality to it.
Okay. Find that little explicit box on the releases page.
Boy.
Let's see what else.
Another thing coming out from Aftershock this month on page 238 and 239 that sounds interesting to me. It's a series called Join the Future. And it's the old conflict of town and country writ large in a dystopian future. A future in which, quote, ultra-modern megacities reward millions of their citizens with a completely funded life with every need met, but a few rural residents still cling to their independence in what last American small towns are left. When a nearby megacity pressures the people of a small town to join up, or else a young teenage girl named Clem will learn how far she'll go to defend her principles. And this is a conflict that I, as a rural resident myself, of which I'm keenly aware, I'm provincial and I'm proud, and I might want to take a look at this series to see how writer Zach Kaplan and artist Pyotr Kowalski extrapolate this present-day friction into the far future.
Page 272, we mentioned this when we talked about FCBD, is the Resistance, the Straczynski-Deodato offering. Has JMS not written a book comic in a while?
It's been a while that I can think of. Yeah, I think he'd mostly been working on either prose or TV for a while.
Okay.
Page 258. That Can Be Arranged: A Muslim Love Story. Looks very interesting. All about essentially an arranged marriage. Chaperones, suitors, and arranged marriages aren't only reserved for the heroines of a Jane Austen novel, is the way they put it. And Huda Fame is the writer-artist for this. And that would be out of Andrews McMeel on page 258.
All right.
Going further back to page 248, we've got a new volume of Grumble from Rafer Roberts and Mike Norton coming out. It's the supernatural misadventures of a young woman and a small-time crook stuck in the body of a pug. So it's one of many excuses that Norton finds to draw pugs in comics every month. And so that's volume 2 coming our way in March.
Unfortunate news about Battle Pug to report is that it looks like this will be the end of Battle Pug as an ongoing. As once again, the sales numbers were not there. So they're either they have at least 6 more issues already completed. So they're either going to go online or collection, more than likely, to continue that. So stay tuned on what the further fate of Battle Pug will be. But I guarantee you, Norton will find a way to keep it going.
I will indeed stay tuned, Ian, and I will support that pug-riding barbarian in whatever form he next appears.
I haven't shouted out Fantagraphics in quite a while, and it's such a vital publisher. I'm on page 298 and 299. So Beirut Won't Cry, which is done by a Lebanese artist who drew about the Israeli bombardment of Lebanon in 2006. I believe that's when Israel was entangled with Hezbollah at that point in a conflict there. But Mazen Kerbaj's first graphic novel introducing many American readers his unique voice and urgent pen, writing about his experience living through that situation. So I love books like this. I love when these publishers give opportunities to artists in other parts of the world who have a story to tell that maybe we as Americans aren't really familiar with, or we don't appreciate the perspective of someone from a culture we're not as familiar with, or maybe not even as sympathetic to. So that's great to see. That's on page 299. What else, brothers?
Well, you know what? Page 286. Billy Tucci has a new book. I haven't heard his name in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Appalachian Apocalypse. with art by Ethan Nicole. A zombie story with a Tennessee twist. After the ancient staff of Lilith, mother of the damned, reanimates the dead, country boy JB and his estranged upper crust wife Anne must come together to stop the zombie hordes and save the people of Appalachia. This collects all 6 issues of the Appalachian Apocalypse miniseries into one trade paperback. That's out of Cave Pictures Publishing on 286.
Did not know that 6-issue miniseries had been published.
Me neither. So there we are.
It's from Billy Tucci and Ethan Nicole, who is the artist of Axe Cop.
There you go. Yes.
Axe Cop. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I got to point out this. I actually got like a hilarious chill from this on page 314. Star Trek: The Kirk Fu Manual hardcover. First of all, just look at the art. And I wish Shane were still here for this. Anyone who's watched the original Star Trek, when Shatner has hand-to-hand combat scenes, they're like this weird, like blending of, is it supposed to be martial arts or just like, the stuntman decides to like put the guy in like some kind of weird like, leg lock. But I have to read the copy. As Captain Legendary USS Enterprise, James T. Kirk engaged in his share of fisticuffs, besting opposed with a slick combination of moves and guile that remains unmatched. This is great. Kirk Fu is a series of unarmed combat techniques delivered one of Starfleet's most celebrated starship captains over years of encounters with alien species on a number of strange new worlds, including excerpts from Kirk's own notes and personal logs. The perfect training guide for surviving the depths of space, $14.99.
It's going to be impossible for me to not call that Shat Fu.
Well done, sir. Ian, did I ever tell you? I know I mentioned this years ago when on the air. You weren't on the show yet, but when I saw Shatner do his tour performance.
If you did, it's not ringing a bell.
Okay, just quickly. So he was. This is I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He was touring around and doing like telling the story of his life. Just him on stage with a swivel chair, and a screen with just images. Mm-hmm. Absolutely mesmerizing. Everything you think about William Shatner, you got it in this performance. It was tremendous. He didn't do any Kirk Fu though, but
Sabotage.
Oh. Well done, sir.
It's a mirage. I'm telling you, it's sabotage.
What always impresses me when we go through the rest of the book is just, and I haven't done it for a while on the air, but on my own time, is just, it's always nice to see the sheer variety of stuff that's still being produced. Like here on page 326 from Oni Press, a quick and easy guide to sex and disability. I mean, God, you got to love comics that there's still the medium still can provide such a wide variety of genres. It's just a shame that that it's probably only being read by a tiny sliver of people, but still, always refreshing to see that.
I want to go back to 323, Dryad #1 out of Lion Forge. Immediately struck by both the art and the story here, written by Curtis Weeb. Illustrated by Justin Oster.
That is sharp artwork, yeah.
It is, yeah. Immediately my brain went to Saga because that's absolutely what that cover by
that's true.
Tomas.
Although when I saw the interior art, my brain went to the old Dragon's Lair video game.
Okay, I could see that.
Which I died within 5 seconds every time I put my damn quarter in. or I think that game was actually more expensive than a quarter, but.
But Curtis Weeb worked on Rat Queens for a while, and this is about an elf and a human who find solace in the sleepy forest settlement of Frostbrook, where they plant their roots. 13 years later, their twins Griffin and Rana are inexplicably drawn to an ancient door and discover more than they bargained for. So, fantasy, and good fantasy at that, from the sounds of it.
I have this was an exciting moment for me on page 338. This brought me back to my childhood. I think is it Rebellion 2000 AD, maybe. The Rise and Fall of the Trigon Empire, Volume 1. So I'm like a little kid, and my parents bring home, I don't even know where they got it, this oversized hardcover, which told this whole sweeping like space opera saga about this cosmic empire, and it blew my cranium. Like blew up on the top of my head. The art, I know the artist's name, it says the legendary Don Lawrence is absolutely breathtaking, had a sort of Alex Raymond feel to it. I think I've lost that book since, but they got volume 1 here, and I'm getting it because that'll take me right back to my childhood.
Nice.
It's a 1960s science fiction series. I mean, they must have gotten some reprint hardcover in the 80s when I was a kid. So that really excited me to see that.
Oh, also, I'll realize, but before somebody sends us an email and says, duh, Ian, the reason why the artwork reminded me of Saga is because the cover is literally by Fiona Staples.
Oh, well, we both missed that, so you're not alone there, sir.
It's like, right afterwards, I'm like, oh, that really does, because it is her.
I'm going to point out, again, and this is tough for me. So the great publisher Taschen, page 346, I mentioned this before. They have it now in the regular section. The Stan Lee story hardcover, which Roy Thomas scripted. It's like this, I guess it's considered like this is the ultimate. There's been so many biographies of Lee, but this is Thomas writing, a novel-length essay, a new epilogue after Lee's death, a trove of artwork. It's $200. God.
Yeah. It's hard to justify.
Yeah, I mean, someday I have to own this. Even though I'm going to know everything in it, it doesn't matter because Roy Thomas writing, sort of this swan song biography to the his mentor, I'm sure it's magnificent.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So,
328, Oni Press, and a little bit of manga before the manga section. Gudetama, Adulting for the Lazy. Adulting is tough. Thankfully, Gudetama is here to guide you on questions such as, how do I get a job while still having enough time to party? I'm supposed to pay rent every month? How am I supposed to live without my mom doing my laundry?
yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Anything that jump out at you, Murray, in these last pages?
Back on 338, a little bit below the Trigon Empire, there's a best of 2000 AD shot. That's if you can't wait for the 2000 AD anthology that'll be offered for free on Free Comic Book Day, you can pay $4.99 now for 100 pages of high-quality reprints featuring some very well-known creators, all-time superstars of this venerable anthology's history, including, of course, Alan Moore, and some work from John Wagner, Dan Abnett, etc., underneath a new cover by Jamie McKelvey.
Nice.
Pick Murd.
We had to come back to that because everything does.
That's true. Yes. And 338 also has the Dragon Whisperer. In a world of clockwork and steam, cursed airship captain Alexander Falk endures his century-long quest for an end to his torment. A dragon!
A dragon. I swear I saw a dragon.
And it whispered to me. Alex DeLuca on the writing and Glenn Fernandez on the art there for the Whisperer.
Looking on page 357, because I always have to pay tribute to Tomorrow's. I got a lot of great stuff this month, a lot of reissues, but fabulous. So the new one is Alter Ego 164, which focuses on the Marvel and DC writer Mike Friedrich, who did some important work. I'm glad he's getting his due there. Then you got a comic book creator 23, the Peonies. Am I pronouncing the last name correctly?
I believe so.
Yeah. The creators of ElfQuest. So I think of ElfQuest, I think of Jamie D. He was always such a champion of that series. And on page 358, Jack Kirby Collector issue 79, which I think is a reissue too, but a Eugene with Jack himself, look at inconsistencies in 1960s Marvel work, a visual before and after showing large and small changes in comics. If you're a Kirby fan, like if you just want every nook and cranny of Kirby at a granular level, Kirby collectors for you. And the Kirby 5.0, that is a fantastic issue. That's one of my favorites of that series. If you wanted to kind of dip into Kirby a bit but not be overwhelmed, the Kirby 5.0 is a great place to go to. And American Comic Book Chronicles, which is the definitive history of the American comic book medium as far as we're concerned, the 1970s, just tremendous.
All right, I got one. 344. It's a critically acclaimed Eisner-nominated comic book that is coming to print for the first time. The Fuhrer and the Tramp, #1. Written by Sean McArdle and John Judy, with art by Dexter Wee. Charlie Chaplin, comic filmmaker and raconteur, didn't become the world's biggest star by courting controversy. But when he comes face to face with the horrors of Hitler, he feels compelled to get off the sidelines and get involved. And then Charlie is approached by FDR himself with a special assignment. His mission, if he chooses to accept it, create a propaganda film to drum up public support of joining the war in Europe.
And it's not available in Germany.
It is not available in Germany. I am unsurprised by that statement.
Well, the Germans have, as a nation, if you read about it, have overall really sort of come to terms with the Nazi past.
Oh yeah.
Japan, that's another story, but that's a discussion from the type of podcast. But
yeah.
I'm glad you brought this to my attention, Ian. I totally missed this.
Yeah, I'm flipping through it. I'm like, okay, I would be completely remiss not to mention this. It's so up my alley.
I would have done it if you hadn't, Ian, but I was fully expecting you to, and
nice,
with good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Brothers, I got nothing else for this preview. So what about you guys? Anything else you want to mention?
Let's see. I'm gonna scroll down and look for my usual manga. So Murd, if you got anything before that, be my guest.
Well, actually, there's a bit of manga I wanted to mention too. If I can.
Go ahead.
So it's a race. It's a chase. I know I marked it in here somewhere. Okay, it's on page 418, and it's actually a second volume of the My Little Pony manga.
Ah.
Yep, there was a first volume sometime this past summer, and I was really kind of surprised by how entertaining I found it. It's American manga, I'm pretty sure. It's written by David Lumsden, art by Shie, and it's the My Little Pony characters. It was clever, it was humorous. I think I got more out of some of the stories in that volume than I had out of a couple of seasons of the show. So, yeah, I'm definitely I was hoping there'd be a second helping of this eventually, and now there is, so I'm in.
Nice. Very good. See, you did beat me to manga.
Can't often happen because I don't often have anything to talk about here.
That is truth. Truth to that. But I have something on page 394. Star Wars, The Legend of Luke Skywalker, the manga. On page 394 by Viz Media. Who is Luke Skywalker? Across the galaxies, many have heard his name, but few have met the legendary Jedi. There are those who call him a merciless war criminal. I don't know.
No, I love stuff like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Others say he's not even a human, but a droid. Whether he is man or myth, all those who claim they've encountered the elusive Luke Skywalker have an unforgettable adventure to share. And this puts a bunch of those adventures together into one volume of Star Wars manga. Love it. And the artwork that looks very unique and interesting.
Yeah.
It's an original story by Ken Liu, adapted by Akira Hamakawa, Haruichi, Akira Fukaya, and a bunch of others.
Good pick, Ian. Good pick.
Thank you.
Yes, very good. I missed that completely.
Yeah, me too.
I aim to please.
Have we shot our bolt, gentlemen? Anything else you want to call out here in the back?
I think we shot our bolt, but I'm just running through real quick to see if any other manga runs at me and yells, "Hey, you forgot me." Let's see. Yeah, I think we can pretty much shoot it. I don't see anything else running at me right now. So you know what? Why not? Okay, one more. Page 413. I don't even think. I don't even see the full. Oh, 412. There we go. Knight of the Ice, Volume 1. It's a rom-com manga set on ice, perfect for for fans of Princess Jellyfish and Watakoi. It's another ice dancing manga, people. Okay, there's been a bunch of ice skating stuff lately. You got another one. It's Night of the Ice. It's Volume 1. Get in on the ground floor of this fun manga on ice.
I'm going to take your word for it, bro. All right.
I don't know either, but you know what? It's Kodansha, and they tend to put out good stuff, so why not?
Yeah.
Ended this episode with a perfect triple axel, Arian.
Thank you much. And, ladies and gentlemen, I will point out, this is a previews episode that ended with Chris Eberle still on the call.
Well, we started early enough that it's not past my bedtime yet on a school night.
Yes, indeed.
So that's much appreciated.
Happy to have you soldier through it with us.
For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow which no geek can deny.
Mert, I love when you serenade. Nice. Perfect timing because I've actually got a stomach virus running rampant through my house, and somebody just texted me and asked me to make them toast.
Oh boy!
So,
well, good timing indeed.
Yes. Innocent ill, Chris.
Buy a Con Rio, sir, if you need to head off and make that toast.
Yeah, I should get to that, brothers. It's been an honor.
Pleasure's ours.
And of course, get well soon from us.
We'll do, and we'll all talk soon.
All right.
All right, gentlemen. Take care. Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Night.
All right, Murd, you want to remind folks yet again on where they can send those submissions?
Certainly. Get them. Send them to bestof, BESTOF, at comicgeekspeak.com by February 9th, Sunday, February 9th, 2020. Hope to hear from you. Vote early and vote once. Don't think I won't know.
No, my name is Leon, I swear.
Leon Evanstein, yes.
That's my alternate universe evil doppelganger that I used to talk about all the time. Before I had a beard, he had a beard, so clearly that means he must no longer have one since I've grown one.
Yes, but I bet he's acquired a monocle and a derby hat since then.
Yes, I think I saw him in an episode of Rick and Morty recently. All right, ready to roll.
Play us out with all the usual Shane announcements. Okay. If you'd like to send us an email, our address is comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. If you'd like to send in your best of nominations, it's bestof@comicgeekspeak.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail, you can call 267-702-6642. You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. While you're at Facebook, you can go to the new Comic Geek Speak supergroup, which is the new gathering spot for Comic Geek Speak fans, listeners, and alumni on the Facebook website and social medium. We also still have the comicforums.vanillacommunity.com, which is our forum site, where you can go to leave feedback about this episode and a variety of other episodes, or simply to hang out and participate in discussions with your fellow CGS listeners and general nerds. We'd like to thank everyone who have donated monetarily to the show in the past. We really appreciate it. The show would not be what it is today without your support. And as always, we're uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.
You got it on Wednesday, and you was psyched about it, going to the volume up. These guys will talk about it, everything that geeks love. From capes to laser beams, opinions like the seasons on everything you read. And comics, movies, games, toys, artists, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek Speak, Comic Geek. Uniting the world's mightiest heroes, this is Comic Geek Speak.
Hello, what do you want? We don't want any.